Well, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to be doing our conjunction of Saturn and Moon. And what happens when you have Moon and Saturn conjunct in your horoscope, meaning that at the time you were born, both Moon and Saturn were in one house. And so what happens is they're affecting each other. Something is happening within you, and that's what we're going to discuss today. And as always, if you do not know where your moon is placed, what house it's in, what sign it's in, and if it's conjunct any planet or whatever conjunctions you have, for that check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light. And especially in my conjunction books, you will find all the meanings of 2 all the way to 8 planetary conjunctions and how you study these conjunctions, because there's a method to studying them. So all of that is here, including all more options. So Moon and Saturn conjunctions. Well, first of all, what is Moon? Moon represents mind, your emotions. Moon represents your mother. Moon represents your ability to emotionally connect with things around you. Whether it's people, whether it's things, whether it's animals, anything that you can emotionally relate to, that's what Moon is. And obviously, Moon represents your personality. Why? Because whatever's in your mind comes outside and becomes everything around you. So your personality forms within yourself first before everybody else sees it. So Moon is a very, very important planet. Now, what is Saturn? Saturn represents limitations and boundaries. It is a realistic perspective of the world, practical perspective of the world. It is a very hard-working planet. It's cold, dark, gloomy. And Saturn is all about organization, structure, and being this planet of social welfare and social reform. So Saturn becomes important because it brings our senses into place. You know, when you said, oh God, you have no sense of anything. That's pretty much somebody saying that, man, you do not have a Saturn within you. Because Saturn brings perspective, realistic perspective. When you can see things practically, when you can feel things practically, that's what Saturn represents. So what we're going to be doing is discussing the conjunction of these 2 planets in one house. So whenever Moon is conjunct Saturn, what happens is that this person is, first of all, very practical. The mind is always looking for realistic perspective in life. Like, you'll find these people who don't easily believe in astrology, easily won't believe in magic and mysticism and occult, won't believe in aliens as easily. Because what happens is mind wants to go out, okay? The mind wants to think. Don't get me wrong. Mind wants to go out and think about all these unorthodox circumstances. But Saturn is limitation. So anytime Saturn is within 10 degrees, because remember, this conjunction is especially when it's 10 to 15 degrees within the moon, that's when it really affects this conjunction. So these people will always try to think outside, but something will always put them inside. They will always be like, well, okay, so let's prove this. Why is it this way? No, I don't think these things exist. No, I don't think this will happen this way. Come on, be practical, be real, okay? Don't try to go into the fantasy land. Come back to earth. You know those people or your parents who always say, you know what, stop fantasizing about things. You know, you need to do the real work. That's what Moon and Saturn is. And what happens is, Saturn is a very cold planet. Saturn literally represents ice. You know, it represents ice and gems, things that form in a long durations. So mind now becomes a little bit frozen, a little bit cold, a little bit detached. Because now it's hard for them to just relate to anybody. They emotionally just do not give themselves to people. They're very practical, organized, disciplined, and structured in their mind. They're like, okay, why should I give this person my emotions if I know they're going to leave in a week? You know, all these romantic encounters we've all had. Go on a single date, you fall in love, you have an interaction with somebody while you're traveling, you know, and then you fall in love, kind of like that Bollywood movie, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. That is not Moon and Saturn. Moon and Saturn person will be like, yeah, sure, let's go to bar, let's drink, let's have a good time. But hey, see ya. Because not gonna want to be attaching myself to ya. because of the fact Saturn is always showing them the harshest side of the life. And what happens is that these people are more attracted, especially in relationship. You'll notice they're attracted to more people who are mature, practical, realistic, who are doing realistic things in life, who are engineers, doctors, restaurants owner. Like, person with Moon and Saturn conjunction would consider me as a last candidate for dating. So this is how this Moon and Saturn thing works. Anytime they want to think outside, they will be hurt by Saturn's practicality, Saturn's realistic views. If they did try their best to fall in love with somebody unorthodox, somebody who's just a free willy, and they give that chance, Saturn will be like, no. You see what happened? So practicality becomes a very important ingredient in their personality. Also, they come out as somebody who might be cold. They're all about, hey, did you do this? Did you do this? Like, person with this kind of a Moon and Saturn make a very harsh parent, very harsh manager. Because they always want to put discipline and organization into everything that they do. They're the kind of people whose house that you go to and it'll be all organized. Because remember, whatever is inside will come outside. So not only your mind is compartmentalized, but also everything outside of you is compartmentalized. Because remember, Saturn is darkness. Mind is a free-flowing frequency. When your frequency is limited and it's always getting blocked, like it's trying to go outside of this wall, it's going to disturb your mind. And especially during Saraswati, when Saturn is transiting 12th, 1st, and 2nd from the Moon, anything that you want to desire, anything that you want to go out and achieve, Saturn will blow that back in your face because it's trying to teach you a very, very harsh practical lesson. And especially with people who have Moon and Saturn conjunction going through Saraswati, the minute you start pouring milk on Shivling in a temple only, it'll give you the maximum amount of relief instantly. You'll see that. Pour milk on 1st and 15th of the month in a temple only, leave some money there, and you will see how the reversal happens of your Saturn. Now, one thing you also have to understand is that Saturn is a very dry planet. And what it does, any time, especially when it's near a watery planet, it'll dry that water and waterness of the Moon down. And what it simply means is this. Moon represents your mother. Okay, that's the most basic 101 of astrology. Sun is the father, Moon is the mother. When Moon is conjunct Saturn very closely, shows that there were very much lack of nourishment and emotions given through the mother. Now, some people may have a very good mother, but here's the thing. This scenario will not change because your mother will be a very practical, realistic woman. She's not going to be out there kind of like holding you when there's no money in the house, when there's no electricity or no money to take you out for your birthdays, this and that. No, this mother's not going to do that. This mother's going to tell you straight out what's happening. Some mothers, and most of you might have gone through where, let's say, if you find out once you're 30, like, yeah, when you were 5 years old, we didn't have any money for your birthday, but somehow your dad borrowed money and gave you this and that. We didn't want to make you feel sad, make you feel depressed. Mother always wants to protect those emotions, right? It doesn't want to see the child cry. This mother's like, no. If my child, whether boy or girl, if they're going to be something in their life, let me give them the harshest lesson right now. And this is the mother that'll be like, well, we got $20 in account. We have a rent due in next week. And we barely have anything in the refrigerator. This is what I'm making. I'm making top ramen. Eat it or leave it. She will be instilling these realistic, practical reality of life. And these are the people who later on are not afraid to take any job. If you had some rich kid, whether it's a prince or a princess, you tell them to work in a McDonald's, they will never do it. For them to even like work in a retail store, high-end retail store, will be like, oh, a retail job, oh my God. You get somebody who is Moon and Saturn conjunction in this manner, close, they'll be like, whatever, I'll do it. It's money, it's work. I gotta do it. And next thing you know, these are the people who will become successful. They will become the manager of that store within a year or 2 years, because they're so dedicated, because they've seen the harshest reality of life. They don't want to go back to it. So as much as you feel that, yeah, I did not get lack of emotion, I got lack of emotions from my mom. She didn't really nurture me and all that. But you know what? In a way, if you look at it, she's the one who probably made you who you are, because you're just the toughest salesman out there. You're out there just knocking door to door, selling whatever you can. Kind of like the guy who was Paul Mitchell. He was just homeless, went door to door, started selling his product. Now he's a billionaire guy. And so these are the people who should feel lucky that, okay, you know, me not getting lack of emotions, or me getting lack of emotions from the mother, has really taught me the reality of life. Now, of course, in some cases, you will have mother not even caring about you, not even giving you the reality. She will just abandon you, doesn't like you, didn't never wanted you. Sure, you will find those kind of people as well. You will find those kind of a Moon and Saturn conjunction if it's happening in a very harsh place. Then what happens is these people have completely dried emotions. They're the ones who become like those killers and rapists and people who just will chop you off and feel like, oh, whatever, it's just a human being. The emotions are so dried out and sucked out that the essence of your soul is no longer there. And that's this wheeling and dealing of Saturn with Moon. Emotions can either make you very tough and great, and next thing you know, you're becoming a president of the United States, or you might just end up in jail for life. But it all depends on, everybody has different situations with the Moon, different aspects, conjunction happening. All these things matter with this Moon and Saturn conjunction. But remember, conjunction is always seen with the planet who holds the lowest degrees. So let's discuss as to what happens when Moon holds the lowest degrees versus Saturn holding the lowest degrees. So let's say if your Saturn is at 12 degrees, Moon is at 15 degrees, that means Saturn holds the lowest degrees. What happens is now the mind is on the throne of Saturn, throne of practicality, throne of obedient work, dedication, organization. So mind is always organized, always in a very serious mode, always in a mode to just work, not have fun, and just do the work that needs to be done. Do the redundant, repetitive work. The mind capability to think outside of a certain realm is limited until they're 34, 35. That's when Saturn just simply like, okay, whatever. I've given you my discipline for the first 35 years. Now I'll release you. After 35, you'll find these people who are now more open to these things. And with Saturn holding the lowest degrees, what happens is that anytime they want to express themselves emotionally, Saturn will hold them. Kind of like imagine a seat having this hand holding you. They're like, no, hold your emotions. These people will always hold their emotions. They will, very rarely they will cry, because they feel like they cannot kind of just express themselves without being criticized. Because of the fact they were so criticized early on in their age, trying to express themselves, they just hold themselves together. But let's discuss when Moon holds the lowest degrees. So let's say if Moon is at 10 degrees, Saturn is at 13 degrees and 14 degrees. What happens is their discipline, organization, and structure is emotionally charged. Because of now Saturn is on the throne of Moon, Saturn ability to do the work has to be emotionally attached to it in order for them to do anything. So here now, if the Moon feels like, okay, I need to achieve a goal. I want to have my billion-dollar company. I want to have a multi-million-dollar company. How do I achieve it? Well, because Moon holds the lowest degrees, those emotions comes into play. Oh my God, I can take my company public. Oh my God, I can be the CEO, CFO. All right. Now that emotions are charged, Saturn, sitting on the throne of emotions, says, okay, mind is like, let's put discipline, organization, and structure into my action, and let's make this happen. So now Moon is giving more of a push to Saturn to achieve its emotional goals that it couldn't before it was sitting on the throne of Saturn. So that's what happens with this degree difference of Moon. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of conjunction of Saturn and Moon in a horoscope. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. Again, if you want to know where your moon is placed, what sign it's in, what planet is conjuncted or aspect or nakshatras, all of those things, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, books, consultations, everything. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with something else. Bye-bye.